today we've got Jim Galligan. He is with our Pocono office, and we also have our rockstar productivity coach from our Scranton, Wilkes-Barre area. I watched Bill get started as a brand new agent, and now he's leading as a coach in Scranton office. So please,
job,
guys, give them a big welcome.
Thank you for the invite. Appreciate it, and congrats to everybody who's making this part of their routine, who's realizing that now's the time. You mentioned something, Usha, that when you were talking when we first came on, that really reminded me of one of my true mentors, personal coach. My first real estate trainer was Floyd Wickman, and one of the things that stuck with me that Floyd instilled in me, and I had it hanging on my door for years, is it's what you do when you do not have to that will ultimately determine who you become when you can no longer help it. So it's coming in on days like today on a Tuesday morning when you could be doing a lot of other things than working on your lead gen, and putting the time in now, which is ultimately going to determine who you are on the onset and when we get on the other side of this, what your business looks like, but what you look like as far as a business owner, a realtor, just the confidence that you're doing what you can to help your family thrive on the other side of this uncertainty. So kudos to everybody for making this part of your routine. I really mean it.
Thanks, Jim, for that insight.
Yeah. So they asked if I could talk a little bit here this morning about mindset and the mindset around lead gen. Whether we want to or not, we all got into a business that requires us to become comfortable being uncomfortable and getting comfortable with the, at times, monotony of success, which is doing the little things that aren't always the most fun, day in, day out, when no one else is looking. Mastering the boredom of success is another one of my mentors, Adam Hergenrother, talks about. And just realizing that it's a mindset that you must adopt and you must hold dear, that if you can't find the time to prospect or lead gen when you're busy, pretty soon you won't be busy any longer. So this is something that you must find the time now, especially now when we have more time on our hands than we've ever had in our real estate career. Are you going to look back when you do get back to work feeling like, you know what, I did everything I could have or should have done during this time, and I've made the most of this opportunity? Or are you going to look back with regrets and feel like, yeah, I put on that extra 10 pounds and all right, I'm all caught up on my binge watching, but my business is worse now than it was on March 17th. And these calls for me have been easier to make than the normal lead gen calls I'm making. The pressure has been off. I'm not necessarily feeling the pressure of trying to call to convert an expired to let me come over. I'm calling people that already know, like, and trust me, or who I've already built some kind of relationship with, just to on a human level, ask, how you doing? Is everything okay? But also reminding them that I'm still here to be that real estate resource for them. And that there's never a cost. There's never an obligation to pick my brain, to ask me what's going on with the market. And just, again, we're putting that seed in their brain that we are their go-to person when they think real estate. And it doesn't have to be because they want to list their home with you. It's, they know that if they've got a question that they can approach you, you're there to be the trusted resource, that advisor. And then it's taken them, as Jason Abrams has shared with us so many times on these calls, it's working on the mind share right now. Mm-hmm. So the conversations that we have over the next 90 days are really going to determine on who the people want to do business with in the future when we get out of this. It's the conversations that we're having with those people over these next 90 days that are going to determine how these people want to do and who they want to do business with, whether it's 90 days from now, 6 months from now, 6 years from now. It's building that mind share. And the other thing that I think we all need to understand and give ourselves some grace during this period. We're not all going to be on our A game every day. This is a marathon without a doubt. This is where the grind is kicking in. The grit, as they say, needs to be there. And what I mentioned earlier is mastering the boredom of success sometimes is just doing what you can, the best you can that day, and give yourself some grace that if it's a day where you've got other things going on, or you got to, be the educator for the kids at home, or, it's okay. If you can make a couple of those calls, if you can carve out an hour here and there throughout your day, doesn't have to be 4 hours of nonstop lead gen. Go into your bunker and don't come up for air until you've, made that 4 hours. We're all human. This is a marathon. This isn't a sprint. But if you can't carve out time if you can't do it every day, you got to do it every week. You got to be carving out time, whether it's voice to voice, text to text, videos that you're doing, Facebook messages, direct messages to those people that are part of your sphere. If you can't carve out time now, you're never going to create the habit or have this as a consistency when you get back out there and start running on appointments. So I just hope everybody understands that you're creating habits now that hopefully will stay with you. But do you want to look back on this and realize that I squandered an opportunity to really get control over my database, my data bank, those sphere of influence people? Because they're going to be the ones that are going to come to your rescue when you need it, when the market does open up. So, and you're going to stumble, at least I have. I've stumbled on a lot of folks I haven't spoken to in a long time. I've always sometimes made that call to my past clients or my sphere of influence, that scary monster in the closet where I'll call a stranger. I have no problem cold calling, but calling that person that I sold a home to a year ago is the scariest call in the world to me. But getting over that fear and realizing this is the season that we're in and now's the time to do that has made it that much easier now to continue the conversation with these people. And they were happy to hear from me. That scary monster wasn't there. It was just, I was busy and I was focusing on the high hanging fruit rather than just realizing I had some great low hanging fruit right there that I just was too busy to cultivate. So I just want to share that mindset with everybody. But whether you got into real estate to be a lead gen machine or not, you got into real estate, so you have to become a lead gen machine. You have to be good at following up and knowing that part of the mastering of the monotony or the mastering of the boredom of success is follow up. The magic doesn't happen in the first or second contact. The magic and the real gold is in that 5th through 10th contact. But most people stop 3 feet short of striking gold, as Napoleon Hill talked about in Think and Grow Rich. Most people try 3 times, get voicemail and say, oh, heck, that doesn't work. I'm never calling that person again. Where it's touching base, following up, having systems in place, and being just persistent without being obnoxious. And that's really the key. So what I'm going to be role playing with Bill today is just doing some follow-up calls to some leads that I'm going to be doing this today while we all break into our lead gen. I'm just doing some second and third round of follow-up calls with leads that I'd already been talking to prior to this, who the intention was to meet this spring, early summer. But now there's a lot of uncertainty. People aren't sure if now's the time or not. And whether it's the right time for them or not, that's okay. Whenever the right time is there for them, I'm going to be that person that they think of, because I'm going to continue to touch base. I'm going to continue to follow up with them. I'll chase a listing lead till the end of time. Buyers, I would work with the ones that I couldn't shake. But if you focus in master lead gen and focus on listings, well, then you can have people in your world that will work the buyer side for you. So I will follow up and chase a listing lead and touch base and follow up with them for years if that's what it takes, because I plan on having a great career, not just having a great year. So
let's listen to Jim and Bill with their role play.
Okay. Ring, ring.
Oh, hello?
Yeah, hi, is this Bill?
Yeah, this is Bill.
Hey, Bill, it's Jim Galligan from Keller Williams. How are you?
Good. How's it going, Jim?
I'm doing well, doing well. I just was first and foremost calling just to make sure that you and your family are still healthy, that everybody's still well in your world.
Yeah, we're doing all right, with the whole shutdown and stuff. It's a little frustrating at times,
Sure.
sitting home and can't do anything, but yeah, we're
I
safe for the
get
most
it.
part, thank God.
Well, I'm happy to hear you're all healthy. I get it. I'm getting a little stir crazy myself, and I'm running out of projects at home to keep me busy. And we're all doing our part, but it's getting tougher to keep myself occupied. So I was just calling just to say hi first and foremost. We had spoken a couple times in the past about the real estate market. I know you had intended on just having me over this spring just to get a better idea of what your home's worth so we could talk about your plans. I know we were all turned upside down, but are you still thinking about making that move like we were talking about earlier in the year?
Yeah, I wanted to make that move earlier, but with the shutdown and stuff, we kind of put it on the back burner. We're thinking maybe like July or August right now,
Okay. Well,
potentially.
hey, I get it. I get it. And believe it or not, I don't know how it's been for you, but these last 2 months have gone by pretty quick. So July will
Yeah,
be here before we know it.
it's crazy. Yeah, they haven't gone by quick.
So your plan is still to, if the numbers make sense, you still want to relocate, you still want to make that move that we were talking about.
Yeah, we were thinking about it. We're just kind of nervous with everything that's going on still. So, but it is in our thought process. Yes.
Okay. Well, and I understand being nervous. And one thing I promise you, Bill, is when we do meet, and whether you want to meet in person when the governor lifts the mandate, I'd be happy to. Or if you want to coordinate a time where we just connect via a Zoom call or a video chat, whatever you and your wife are more comfortable with, I'm happy to be there for you and just give you an honest evaluation of where the market is. Answer those questions that you might have, because I fully get it. It's unnerving when you don't know where things are. And obviously your home's your largest investment. So how about we do this? I'll keep you posted on any updates we get as far as when we can meet in person. If you decide that you'd like to coordinate a time ahead of time and do that via video, I'd be more than happy to be there whenever works for you. And we'll stay in touch, and one way or another, I'll be giving you that evaluation that you need, answer those questions that you have. So this way you and your wife can make that educated decision that makes sense for you and your family.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that sounds good. How
Great.
about you keep me posted on as soon as everything opens up, and we'll set up a time to meet up.
Be happy to do so. And in the meantime, if anything comes up and you have any questions for me, never hesitate to reach out to me, Bill. I'm always happy to chat.
Okay, I appreciate that. Sure will.
Thank you. So I
Wow.
think the key is, I think with any lead gen that you're doing, especially with these care calls, or if you're doing, you're doing a combination of lead follow-up and care call all in one. The whole point is to be conversational. I think we all put extra pressure on us, and I've said this before, I'm a bigger fan of dialogue than I am of scripts. Scripts are great if the person on the other end has their copy and it gives them their lines that they can read. If you read your line, now you, Mr. Seller, you read this line. Dialogue is conversational, and a presentation is a conversation with some visuals. And when we're lead genning, it's got to come across feeling natural. And this only happens by building that habit of doing it over and over again, where it becomes internal. In the beginning, it is going to feel a little uncomfortable, a little awkward. But the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. Those scripts become dialogues because you use your own words, your own reflection. And then it becomes easier to just have those calls, because you're not necessarily calling and feeling like you got to be perfect with your script. You're calling and letting the conversation flow on whatever that customer on the other end brings up. And it's just this is the other part of the mindset everyone needs to understand. There's going to be more no's than you'll ever get yeses. And part of this is understanding that you're failing your way to success. You're calling with the mindset that I'm not calling trying to get a yes. A yes will happen if I get enough no's along the way. Because the more no's I hear, for one, that means I'm talking to enough people. I know my ratios. I know about every 11 calls I make, I'm going to get a lead. But I have to make an average of at least 11 calls if I'm going to get a lead. Some days that happens on call 1. Some days that's call 35. But it's understanding that it's a law of averages. And it's easier if you know, if you're expecting the no, then every time someone says, you know, I'm not interested, it's not personal. They just might not have a need now.